Brace yourself for a cosmic collision that's been 53 years in the making, a forgotten relic from the Cold War, a Soviet spacecraft launched in 1972 is hurtling back to Earth, and it's not coming in quietly. This isn't just another piece of space junk. It's a half-ton titanium cannonball designed to survive the hellish atmosphere of Venus, and it's about to slam into our planet with the force of a meteor. The shocking truth? Nobody knows exactly where or when it will strike, and it could land anywhere from the tip of South America to the northern reaches of Russia. This is a story of ambition, failure, and the unrelenting pull of gravity, a tale that connects the fiery dreams of the Soviet space program to the cutting-edge innovations of today's space race. Buckle up, because this is going to be an emotional, jaw-dropping ride through the cosmos. Picture this. It's March 31st, 1972, and the Soviet Union is in a feverish race to conquer the stars. The Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan hums with anticipation as a Molniya rocket roars to life, carrying a probe destined for Venus. This isn't just any spacecraft, it's part of the Venera program, a daring series of missions to explore the scorching acid-soaked surface of Earth's closest planetary neighbor. The probe, a compact sphere of steel and titanium, is a marvel of engineering, built to withstand pressures 90 times greater than Earth's and temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Packed with scientific instruments, it's designed to pierce Venus's thick, toxic clouds, deploy a parachute, and beam back data from a world where no machine had ever survived for long. Its sister probe, launched just 4 days earlier, is already on its way to Venus, where it will become the second spacecraft to touch down on that infernal planet and transmit for 50 minutes before succumbing to the heat. But this probe, its fate, is about to take a dramatic turn. As the rocket climbs into the sky, something goes horribly wrong. The upper stage, meant to propel the probe out of Earth's orbit and onto a trajectory toward Venus, cuts off prematurely. A timer, set incorrectly, betrays the mission. The spacecraft, stranded in a lopsided orbit around Earth, never gets the chance to reach its destination. Instead of becoming Venera 9, it's quietly renamed Cosmos 482, a Soviet cover-up to mask the failure. The Soviets were masters of this sleight of hand, rebranding botched planetary missions as routine Earth-orbiting satellites to save face during the space race. But Cosmos 482 isn't just a footnote in history. It's a ticking time bomb, circling our planet at altitudes between 210 and 9,800 kilometers, slowly succumbing to the drag of Earth's atmosphere. For over half a century, it's been out there, a silent witness to the rise and fall of empires, the moon landings, the shuttle era, and the dawn of private spaceflight. And now, in May 2025, it's coming home. Fast forward to today, and the world is buzzing with the news. Telescopes across the globe have captured fleeting glimpses of Cosmos 482 as it streaks across the night sky, a tiny dot of light betraying its imminent descent. This isn't your average satellite re-entry. Most space junk burns up in the atmosphere, scattering harmless ash or landing in remote fields. But Cosmos 482 is different. Its descent module, weighing 495 kilograms, over 1,000 pounds, is a fortress of metal, designed to endure the crushing pressures and blistering heat of Venus. Its outer shell is ultra-thick steel, encasing an inner titanium sphere that protects its delicate instruments. This thing is built like a tank, and it's not going to disintegrate quietly. Experts predict it will survive re-entry largely intact, plummeting to Earth at speeds exceeding 150 miles per hour. That's not a gentle landing. It's a high-speed impact, capable of leaving a crater or smashing through anything in its path. The most chilling part? We don't know where it's going to hit. Scientists have narrowed it down to a band between 52 degrees north and 52 degrees south latitude, a massive swath of the globe that includes most of Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and the Americas. From bustling cities like New York and Tokyo to remote deserts and jungles, nowhere in this zone is off-limits. The uncertainty is maddening. Unlike controlled re-entries, where space agencies guide debris to splash down in the Pacific Ocean's Spacecraft cemetery, Cosmos 482 is on an uncontrolled free fall. Its orbit is decaying rapidly, and the best estimates peg its re-entry for May 9th or 10th, 2025, with a margin of error of a day or two. That means we'll have just 20 minutes of warning once it begins its final plunge. Imagine the tension. Astronomers glued to their screens, governments issuing vague alerts, and people worldwide looking up, wondering if a piece of Soviet history is about to crash into their backyard. Let's rewind to understand why this spacecraft is so unique. The Venera program was the Soviet Union's crowning achievement in planetary exploration. Between 1961 and 1984, they launched 16 probes to Venus, achieving a string of historic firsts. The first spacecraft to enter another planet's atmosphere, the first to make a soft landing, the first to return images from an alien surface. Venus was no easy target. Its atmosphere is a nightmare of carbon dioxide, with pressures that would crush a submarine and temperatures averaging 475 degrees Celsius, hotter than the surface of Mercury. The Soviets threw everything they had at it, designing probes that were more like armored bunkers than delicate satellites. Cosmos 482's descent module was a product of this relentless ingenuity, a spherical juggernaut meant to withstand 300 Gs of acceleration and 100 atmospheres of pressure. It carried a small suite of instruments: gamma-ray spectrometers, temperature sensors, and radio transmitters, designed to study Venus's surface for as long as possible before the planet's hostility won out. But the mission's failure wasn't just a technical hiccup, it was a human tragedy wrapped in Cold War secrecy. The engineers and scientists who poured their lives into the Venera program watched their work falter, their dreams of touching another world dashed by a single miscalculation. The Soviet space program was shrouded in silence, rarely acknowledging failures publicly. When Cosmos 482 didn't make it to Venus, it was swept under the rug, its existence barely noted except in classified reports. Yet the spacecraft itself endured, a lonely relic orbiting Earth, carrying the hopes and frustrations of a generation. Now, as it prepares to return, it's stirring emotions that span decades, nostalgia for the space race, awe at the durability of Soviet engineering, and a creeping dread about what its impact might mean. The world is watching, and the stakes feel higher than ever. Social media is ablaze with speculation, some posts calling it a terrifying Soviet death probe, others marveling at its survival after 53 years in the void. The reality is sobering. While the odds of it hitting a populated area are slim, 70% of Earth's surface is water and much of the land is sparsely populated, the risk isn't zero. In 1972, Pieces of Cosmos 482's rocket stage already caused a stir when 4 titanium fuel spheres crashed into New Zealand, scorching crops and denting the soil. No one was hurt, but the incident underscored the unpredictability of space debris. This time, the descent module is far larger and denser, and its titanium shell could protect it from burning up, making it more akin to a meteorite than typical space junk. Experts liken its impact to a random meteorite fall, a rare but not impossible threat. You're more likely to be struck by lightning, they say, but that's little comfort when a half-ton relic is hurtling toward Earth at breakneck speed. What about the parachute? Cosmos 482 was equipped with one, designed to deploy in Venus's thick atmosphere to slow its descent. But after 53 years in space, exposed to cosmic radiation and extreme temperature swings, the parachute is likely a lost cause. Some astronomers believe it may have already deployed in orbit, trailing behind the probe like a tattered flag, destined to incinerate on re-entry. Even if it's still tucked inside, the automated deployment system probably doesn't work anymore, and even if it did, the parachute was sized for Venus's dense atmosphere, not Earth's thinner one. It wouldn't catch enough air to make a meaningful difference. The probe is coming down hard, and there's no stopping it. As the clock ticks down, the world's space agencies are on high alert. NASA, the European Space Agency, and others are tracking Cosmos 482's orbit, refining predictions as its altitude drops. Satellite watchers, like those at Delft Technical University in the Netherlands, have been monitoring it for years, their telescopes capturing its slow decay. Their latest models point to a re-entry window centered on May 10th, 2025, at 7:34 UTC, give or take 14 hours. That's a wide net, geographically and temporally, covering nearly the entire planet. The descent module's titanium shell might preserve small mementos it carries, medals and pennants embossed with Soviet symbols, meant to commemorate the mission on Venus's surface. If they survive, they'll be a haunting reminder of a bygone era, a time when two superpowers raced to the stars while the world held its breath. But this isn't just a story about the past. It's a window into the future of space exploration, where old failures and new ambitions collide. While Cosmos 482 prepares for its fiery finale, the space race is heating up again, and it's more crowded than ever. Across the globe, nations and companies are pushing the boundaries of what's possible, from reusable rockets to lunar bases and Mars missions. The irony is that Cosmos 482's return coincides with a new wave of innovation, some of it directly inspired by the Soviet ingenuity that built it. Let's pivot to the present, where the echoes of 1972 are resonating in ways no one could have predicted. Take China, for instance. The country's space program is making headlines with a project that sounds ripped from science fiction. A reusable rocket called Long March 9, designed to rival SpaceX's Starship. This isn't just another launch vehicle, it's a behemoth, with a stainless steel fuel tank 10.6 meters in diameter, larger than anything ever flown, including the Saturn V, developed by the China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology. Long March 9 is built to carry astronauts to the Moon and Mars by the mid-2030, with a first stage that can land back on Earth or on a drone ship, much like SpaceX's Falcon 9. The parallels to Starship are unmistakable, from the gleaming steel construction to the reusable design. China has been watching SpaceX's progress closely, And Long March 9 is their answer, a bold bid to claim a stake in the new space race. The recent completion of its massive Pathfinder tanks marks a milestone, signaling that China is serious about catching up. Meanwhile, in the United States, a company called Radian Aerospace is rewriting the rules of spaceflight. They've unveiled a prototype for a revolutionary spaceplane, one that could achieve single-stage to orbit flight, a holy grail of aerospace engineering. Unlike traditional rockets, which shed stages as they climb, Radian's vehicle would launch, orbit, and land as a single unit, using a rocket sled to catapult it off a runway before firing its engines. The key is their proprietary Duratherm heat shield, a lightweight, reusable material that can withstand repeated re-entries without degrading. In 2026, Radian plans to test this shield on a small re-entry vehicle, paving the way for a full-scale spaceplane by 2028. If successful, it could make space travel as routine as air travel. With vehicles taking off and landing at commercial airports, it's a vision that feels like it belongs in a sci-fi novel. Yet it's grounded in the same relentless problem-solving that defined the Venera program. And then there's SpaceX, the company that's redefined what's possible in space. Their Starship program, with its towering stainless steel rocket and reusable design, is pushing the envelope of human exploration. Starship is designed to carry 100 tons to orbit, land on the Moon, and eventually take humans to Mars. Its Super Heavy booster, also reusable, has already flown multiple test flights, each one inching closer to operational status. NASA has bet big on Starship, selecting it as the lunar lander for the Artemis program, which aims to return astronauts to the Moon by 2026. But SpaceX isn't resting on its laurels. They're iterating rapidly, building new prototypes and refining their designs, all while launching Starlink satellites at a breakneck pace. The contrast with Cosmos 482 couldn't be starker. One is a relic of a failed mission, the other a symbol of a future where space is accessible to all. Yet for all the optimism, Cosmos 482's return is a stark reminder of the challenges we face. Space is getting crowded. Low Earth orbit is cluttered with thousands of satellites, from Starlink's mega constellation to China's Thousand Sails and Amazon's Kuiper project. Space junk is a growing threat, with defunct satellites and rocket stages posing risks to active missions. Cosmos 482 is just one of many objects that could cause havoc if it lands in the wrong place. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty makes Russia, as the Soviet Union's successor, responsible for any damage, but the practical reality is messier. If the descent module lands in an ocean, it's likely gone forever. If it hits land, it could become a collector's item or a hazard. The uncertainty is part of what makes this moment so gripping. As we await the re-entry, the emotional weight of this event is undeniable. For those who lived through the space race, Cosmos 482 is a time capsule, a piece of history that evokes the thrill of humanity's first steps into the cosmos. For younger generations, it's a wake-up call, a reminder that our actions in space have consequences that echo across decades. The Soviet engineers who built this probe could never have imagined it would outlast their nation, circling Earth for 53 years before making a dramatic return. Their work, flawed but fearless, laid the groundwork for today's spacefaring ambitions. Every rocket launch, every lunar rover, every dream of Mars owes a debt to the pioneers who dared to aim for the stars, even when their plans went awry. So what can we do? For now, we watch and wait. Keep an eye on the sky this weekend especially if you live between 52 degrees north and south. If you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of Cosmos 482 as it blazes through the atmosphere, a fiery streak marking the end of its long journey. It might look like a meteor, slow and bright, possibly breaking into fragments as it falls. If it survives to impact, it could leave behind a small crater, a titanium shell, and perhaps those commemorative medals, etched with the hammer and sickle. Scientists will be tracking it to the last moment, updating predictions as the re-entry nears. The most likely outcome is a splashdown in the ocean, where it will sink into the deep, joining countless other relics of the space age. But there's always a chance, however slim, that it lands somewhere unexpected. A final twist in a story full of surprises. This is more than a spacecraft's return. It's a moment to reflect on where we've been and where we're going. The same spirit that sent Cosmos 482 toward Venus lives on in the engineers building Long March 9, the innovators at Radian Aerospace, and the visionaries at SpaceX. We're standing on the cusp of a new era, one where the moon is a stepping stone, Mars is a destination, and the stars are no longer out of reach. But as we reach for the heavens, we must also reckon with the debris of our past, the literal and figurative remnants of our early ambitions. Cosmos 482 is a warning and an inspiration, a reminder that even our failures can endure, shaping the future in ways we can't predict. As the re-entry approaches, the world holds its breath. Will it be a quiet splash in the Pacific, or a dramatic impact that makes headlines? Will it spark renewed calls to clean up space junk, or inspire a new generation to look to the stars? One thing is certain: this 50-year-old Soviet spacecraft, born in the crucible of the Cold War, is about to leave its mark on Earth one last time. So look up, stay curious, and brace for impact. The cosmos is calling, and it's bringing a piece of history with it. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the wonders of space. Your support makes it possible to continue sharing the marvels of the universe with the world. We can keep exploring the stars and uncovering the secrets of the cosmos. Until next time, keep looking up.